Start taking your seats. Well, that David Bowie Live Aid video is compliments of our executive director, Bob Glaves. So an applause for Bob, too, I suppose. Well, I think we know the theme works, so it's a great way to start our program. So good early afternoon, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Samuel Lee. I'm the current and outgoing president of the CBF. I'm excited to welcome you all on behalf of the CBA and CBF to this year's 27th annual edition of the Pro Bono and Public Service Awards Luncheon. The fact that we can get this many people together on a Friday afternoon in the summer is really an additional testament to the dedication that this community has for pro bono and public service. Please join me in thanking our two event co-chairs this year, Chantal Kuze Rivera, and she's from McDonald's, and Marlon Lutfia from Neil Gerber, who's thanking them for their leadership along with the selection committee that they worked on to bring this program together. So along with our co-chairs, I want to give special thanks to our colleagues and co-hosts today, who you will also hear from today, the new president of the CBA, Judge Nicole Patton, and Tom Panoff, who will be my successor at the CBF. And a special thanks to all of the judges and bar leaders who are here today. While we don't have time in the program to recognize all of them individually, we are particularly honored to be joined today by Justice Liz Rochford from the Illinois Supreme Court and Chief Justice Virginia Kendall from the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois. As I get ready to pass the leadership gavel for the CBF, I want to say special thanks for making this past year such a big success. It has been my great honor to be able to lead the CBF this year after serving on the board as a general board member and an officer for the last few years. Thank you to each and every one of you for everything you do to make the work of the CBF possible. We have another amazing group of lawyers and judges who will be honored today. I know we are all going to be inspired, as we are every year, as we hear from these awardees. And on that note, I have the privilege of kicking things off today by presenting the first award, the Anderson Fellowship. The Anderson Fellowship recognizes and assists outstanding newer lawyers who are pursuing careers in legal aid. I think everyone here understands the cost of going to law school today and the amount of debt that many students incur as a result. These debts can be a real-world constraint for lawyers who want to pursue careers in legal aid and public interest. More than 20 years ago, Kimball and Karen Anderson stepped up to address this challenge, which is even greater today than when they founded it, to take on this issue. They generously created and funded this fellowship at the CBF to assist newer legal aid attorneys faced with repayment of their often mortgage-sized student debt. And this year, they took their leadership to another level by making their major gift to the CBF to permanently endow this fellowship. Kimball and Karen Anderson are both here with us today, and I wish to thank them for their continued leadership. Kimball? And Karen? Kimball and Karen have set a great example for all of us with their leadership in funding this annual Anderson Fellowship. Thanks to their generosity, this $25,000 fellowship is awarded each year through the CBF to an outstanding legal aid lawyer to help them pay off their student loans. Their leadership and generous financial support for this fellowship over the last 20-plus years has made it possible for many dedicated lawyers to follow their passion and to use their legal education to give back to their community and to the bar. I am pleased to present this year's Anderson Fellowship to Spencer Hayderi. As you can see from the program information, Spencer is just a few years into his legal career as a lawyer for the Law Center for Better Housing, but he has held a deep commitment to helping people in need with housing issues since well before becoming a lawyer. Today, he lives out that commitment every day at the Law Center, advocating on behalf of tenants facing eviction and helping them negotiate fair settlements that maintain their housing stability. It says a lot about any lawyer that one of his opposing counsel, who regularly represents landlords, was one of the most enthusiastic supporters of his nomination. And this is the quote: "We have been able to reach a settlement on each of the numerous cases we have had together. Settlement did not always look probable, but through Spencer's persistence and commitment to zealously advocating for his clients, we were able to reach mutually beneficial outcomes." End quote. By lessening the burden of his student debt, this fellowship will help Spencer continue to do this great work advocating for tenants in need at the Law Center. And we thank the Andersons again for making that possible. Please join me in welcoming Spencer to the stage and congratulating him on the Anderson Fellowship.
I'd first like to thank the Chicago Bar Foundation and especially Kimball and Karen Anderson for providing me with this opportunity. I'd also like to thank our Executive Director, Mark Schwartz, for coming and what he does for our firm. My supervisors, Michelle Gilbert and Jonathan Raffensperger, for being here and making me the lawyer that I am today, as well as my colleagues from my class of attorneys. I couldn't do this job without you all. My best friend from undergrad and my best friends from when I was a teacher are also here. They've been there for me through a lot of downs, but also a lot of ups like this. More than anyone, I would like to thank my parents for all they've done to get me to where I am today. My father unfortunately passed away during my second year of law school, and my mother could not make it today because of her physical disabilities, but I know that they are both proud. This is a really huge honor, and I can think of so many amazing people I work with who deserve it just as much. So this is very, very humbling. Now more than ever, public interest work is so important given this administration's attacks on marginalized communities and the very institution of law itself. I've seen firsthand through the work that I do how much housing matters. The vast majority of clients I have just had life happen to them, whether they lost their job or had to pay funeral expenses for a loved one or racked up staggering medical bills. Just getting an eviction filed against you is an incredibly dehumanizing experience, and the minute that it's filed, it shows up on credit checks and causes pretty much every landlord out there to deny you housing. I've had clients tell me how they or their loved ones attempted suicide during the case because of the fear of being homeless. On the other hand, I've had clients tell me months down the road after we got their case dismissed about how they were able to turn their lives around, go back to college, restart their careers, all because they were given another chance through the work that we do. I've even saved more than one marriage. Every single one of my clients deserves to have their story shared, but I was asked to keep it to 2 minutes. So the common thread of all of them is how housing is a basic cornerstone of your holistic well-being, and how our country treats housing is incredibly broken. I'll end by encouraging all of you here to always remember that there is a human being on the other side of the case. Whether it's opposing counsel or the opposing party, we are all human beings, worthy of dignity, respect, and the fundamental necessities to live, no matter how hard they make it sometimes. Always remember what gives you purpose in the work that you do, and always think about how you can achieve justice in your work. not just what the legally correct position is, but true justice.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Judge Nicole Patton, and I have the honor of serving as the president of the Chicago Bar Association. Thank you. It is indeed a privilege to join you today as we recognize some of the most dedicated members of our legal profession and judicial community. Congratulations to all of today's honorees. Public service has been the foundation of my legal journey, from my time as a prosecutor to my current role on the bench. That's why I'm especially proud to be here this afternoon, celebrating individuals who exemplify the very best of our profession through their unwavering commitment to justice, service, and community. Whether from the bench or the bar, today's honorees remind us that our titles are secondary to our impact. What truly matters is the work we do to ensure access, fairness, and dignity for all who encounter the legal system. The next award is named in honor of Leonard J. Schrager, one of those rare professors who combine extraordinary legal skill with a passion for teaching and service. Throughout his long and accomplished career, Leonard inspired countless students and lawyers to make pro bono and public service a defining part of their professional lives. Leonard is just one of a handful of leaders to serve as both president of the Chicago Bar Association and Chicago Bar Foundation. And this luncheon was Leonard's brainchild when he was CBF president in 1999. Just one of the many tremendous legacies as a leader in our legal community. Sadly, Leonard passed away last year, but thanks to the generosity of his family, friends, and former colleagues at Reed Smith, this award will continue to recognize exemplary attorneys in academia who, in the spirit of Leonard's legacy, have made significant and lasting contributions to improving access to justice. This year's recipient is Michelle Vognet, Director of the Public Interest Center at Chicago-Kent College of Law. Michelle has dedicated her entire career to advancing public interest law in various roles at the law school, inspiring countless numbers of students to make pro bono and public service an integral part of their legal careers. She has been an active pro bono volunteer herself during that time as well, consistently volunteering for pro bono and bar projects that have helped many more people in need. As one of her nominators pointed out, Michelle is not only an outstanding leader and advocate, but also a generous colleague and mentor whose influence will be felt for generations to come. That quote really captures why we honor Michelle today, and it is my honor to present this year's Leonard J. Schrager Award of Excellence to Michelle Vognet.
Thank you so very much, Judge Patton, for those kind words. I am truly honored to accept the Leonard J. Schrager Award of Excellence. Thank you to the Schrager family and friends for the creation of this award. Several of my colleagues at Chicago-Kent told me that Leo Schrager had been a mentor to them. It is such an honor to receive an award bearing his name. Thank you to the Chicago Bar Foundation. Your support of the impactful work of our amazing legal aid community here in Chicago is astounding. Thank you to my family, Chris, Maya, and Xander, who are here with me today, my parents who are watching remotely, my brother and extended family, I love you all. Thank you to Loyola Law School, my alma mater, and to Chicago-Kent College of Law, my home. Thank you to many Chicago-Kent students and alumni I have had the joy of supporting on their life journeys, and to my friends and colleagues for lifting me up. Public interest work has always been challenging, but during a time when ICE agents are rounding up people on the streets and our immigrant clients are scared to leave their homes, it is more so. The erosion of 60-plus years of civil rights protections in this country in 6 months is absolutely crushing. And there are countless other heartaches that are profoundly impacting the lives of those among us who are the most marginalized. The weight of the struggle can press us down, immobilize us, but we cannot let it. I know that I alone cannot stop the ills of this world. I am but one person. It is the individual actions of all of us collectively that makes the impact. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Of course, that's a quote by Margaret Mead, and it's long been a favorite of mine. I have carried the idea of collective action with me throughout my life. At Chicago-Kent, it is reflected in the creation of the Public Interest Center and my commitment to engage every one of the students, no matter what type of law they are going into, in 50 hours of pro bono. The impact of all law students and lawyers committing to pro bono across our communities and across our country would be truly earth-shaking. We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams. We are the movers and the shakers. That's an excerpt from Ode, a poem by author O'Shaughnessy. As lawyers, nonprofit leaders, educators, judges, students, and legal aid workers, we are the movers and the shakers. We can use our collective power to lead and make a positive impact in this world with our time, our energy, our vision, and our funds. Do not be sidelined by cynicism. You are powerful. We are more powerful together. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Judge Mariam Ahmed. Thank you for being here today to honor these amazing lawyers and judges. And congratulations again to all of our honorees. Having spent most of my legal career as a state's attorney and public defender before becoming a judge, I understand the critical role that our dedicated public servants play in making our justice system live up to its ideals. For these reasons, I feel particularly fortunate to present this year's Justice Kilbride Public Service Award once more. We are very pleased that Justice Kilbride is able to join us again today. I had the good fortune to get to know and work with Justice Kilbride while he served on our Illinois Supreme Court, and I saw firsthand the exemplary commitment to pro bono and public service he brought to his work. While Justice Kilbride earned many accolades and recognition for his outstanding work on the Supreme Court over the years, this award is intended to honor lawyers or judges displaying a similar commitment to public service and access to justice outside the public eye. I am thrilled to introduce Judge Veronica O'Malley as this year's recipient of the Kilbride Award. She truly embodies what this award is about and is our first honoree from the Circuit Court of Lake County, Illinois. We honor Judge O'Malley for her exceptional work to public service throughout her legal career and her tremendous leadership and management of the court's self-represented litigant family courtroom since 2019. From her deft handling of the transition to remote proceedings during the pandemic to today's hybrid proceeding model, Judge O'Malley has always prioritized access to justice for the unrepresented litigants who appear in front of her and has made her courtroom a model for courts around the state and beyond. As one of her colleagues aptly put it, Judge O'Malley embodies the unique combination and perfect balance of legal skills and social consciousness that are essential in providing meaningful assistance to litigants navigating the courthouse without the benefit of an attorney's guidance. For all these reasons and more, I am so pleased to present this year's Kilbride Public Service Award to Judge Veronica O'Malley. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Distinguished guests, justices, colleagues, friends, and family. I am so grateful to the Chicago Bar Foundation and to all of you, and I am incredibly humbled by this award. After nearly 18 years on the bench, it is a tremendous honor to be acknowledged for spending the last 5 years working to try to open those courtroom doors wider for those trying to navigate our legal system without representation. Now, I'm here today because of 3 Lake County judges, Judge Ortiz, Judge Smith, and our very own Justice, Illinois Supreme Court Justice Elizabeth Rochford, who opened my courtroom. You see, these judges had a vision to create a courtroom solely dedicated to serving self-represented litigants, SRLs. And starting in 2019, my chief judge and the 2 thereafter had the faith to trust me to carry out the vision in one of the most challenging legal divisions, family law. Now, I suspect there isn't a person in this room who doesn't know someone, or maybe it's themselves, who's been through a divorce, custody, family law matter. Indeed, family law touches upon the most intimate and the most vulnerable aspects of a person's life. The relationship, children, property, homes, investments, debts, all that they own, all that they owe. In other words, folks, their future. And my litigants are facing these challenges alone, without representation, and often with significant language and health barriers. Moreover, the cases I face on a daily basis often cross into other areas, and so those cases are consolidated into my cases, like orders of protection and guardianship cases, and that can lead to, ultimately, foreclosure and bankruptcy cases. Indeed, with today's prices, I am seeing more and more people who might have incomes and significant assets, but they're just stretched so thin, they simply cannot afford an attorney. So, to best serve SRLs, my courtroom has purposely evolved over time. We've reimagined and streamlined the procedures, simplified the forms and language, and worked tirelessly to try to make the system seem less intimidating and more transparent to the SRL. And since Zoom Court was introduced in 2020, I am seeing SRLs, especially our military, folks that have disabilities, and incarcerated individuals from every state. They're appearing via Zoom and from many foreign countries, like the UK, Canada, Mexico, South Korea, and Japan, and that was just last week. Of course, the success of my courtroom depends upon those who work with me and share the vision to make the Lake County Courthouse more accessible to all. They include the clerks who greet people with kindness and patience, the staff, volunteer attorneys, mediators, and mental health professionals who give of their time and expertise freely to serve SRLs who are trusting us to resolve their cases. So in closing, shout out to table number 7. I couldn't do my job without the love and support of my wonderful husband, my family, and my friends there. So I want to thank all of you again for this tremendous award and for affirming that justice must be for all, not just those who can afford it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Well, Judge O'Malley, after an act like that, it's really tough to follow it. And I learned a long time ago as a litigator that after a judge says something like that, usually just sit down and be quiet. But Bob tells me that I don't have that luxury. So, my name is Tom Panoff. I am the incoming president of the Chicago Bar Foundation, and I want to welcome each of you for being here today. And please congratulate me or please congratulate all the guests here and join me in welcoming them. You can congratulate me if you would like to. Don't worry, I'll be asking for money in a little bit here. As we celebrate the 27th edition of this great event, we also celebrate the good work that all of you do by making this such a strong showing here and a strong showing in the legal community. With your support for the past 75 years, the CBF has played a critical role in providing need and access to those in our legal community who otherwise would not have that. But we cannot do this work if it were not for your support and your partnership. You have made the CBF the largest voluntary supported bar foundation in the country. Let's just pause there. We are the largest, bigger than New York, bigger than LA, and we should be very proud of that. The Tree of Justice graphic that you see behind me here, that's also in your program book, shows how that we turn the funds that you give into support for our legal community and all of our great grantee organizations. The most important part of this is that it shows the magnifying effect, that once you donate, we can turn that money into extra money, additional matching funds, and so forth, and it really has this exponential effect for our grantee organizations, but more importantly, for those in our community who receive those services from our grantee organizations. Here are just a few examples of some of the tremendous impact that we have made with your help in the legal community over the past year. We've launched and worked with the Secretary of State and the Illinois Supreme Court on a pilot program for community access in public libraries throughout the state for those who need help connecting to remote court proceedings, who otherwise would not have that access and might not show up for court. We also have the Resource Center for People Without Lawyers in the Circuit Court, which continues to expand the services for people in need with the recent launch of the Chancery Advice Desk, and that has expanded into the Domestic Relations Advice Desk as well. For any of you that have gone to visit those desks and you see firsthand how much of an importance it has to the people who visit those desks, you'll see how rewarding of endeavor each of those desks are. We also have helped to fund a nonprofit legal support program and resource hub to provide resources and legal assistance to nonprofits and for those in Illinois who face federal scrutiny and threats to the federal funding that have come into play in recent years. As you hear the inspiring stories of those award recipients today, please consider joining me in making a contribution to the CBF to support this important work. You can make a gift online. You can also go to the QR code on the back of your program today, or you can drop off a check in the middle of the tables, or you can drop off a check afterwards as well. And if none of those methods work, just talk to me afterwards. We'll find a way. Or Bob. As an incentive for those who donate, we again are going to have a drawing today for anyone who wants to make a gift at this luncheon. And the prize for this drawing is a special opportunity to designate a $1,000 gift to one of our grantee organizations to help pro bono and legal aid. For those of you who are our guests today in the legal aid community or otherwise not in a position to donate, you can also drop off your business card at the check-in desk afterwards, and you can enter the drawing as well. So thank you again for all of you who have helped support the CBF and make it the strong organization that it has become over the last 75 years. We cannot do this without you. We are truly partners in this effort, and we look forward to being your partners going forward, hopefully for another 75 years. So I'd like to welcome one of our luncheon co-chairs, Marlon Lutfia, who will be presenting our next award from Neil Gerber. Thank you. Marlon.
Good afternoon. My name is Marlon Lutfia, and I'm the Director of Talent and Diversity at Neil Gerber and Eisenberg. I'm honored to be one of the co-chairs of this inspiring event, along with Chantal, from whom you'll hear shortly. At Neil Gerber and Eisenberg, public service is vital to our mission. Our pro bono activities help us to communicate internally and externally our responsibilities as lawyers to the most vulnerable members of our society, our commitment to justice and access to justice, and the benefits we reap from service to others. And we do our best to recognize and promote the contributions of the attorneys at our firm who help us to advance these goals. In that same vein, the Chicago Bar Association and the Chicago Bar Foundation have been presenting the Maurice Weigel Exceptional Young Lawyer Award for more than 50 years to celebrate exceptional contributions of young lawyers to the profession, the organized bar, and the community. The award reflects the inspiring family legacy of an extraordinary father and son, Maurice W. Weigel and Maurice S. Weigel, who each exhibited a lifelong devotion to the law and the community. This year's recipient, Missy Turk Firmage, is a great addition to the list of outstanding attorneys who've received this award. As you can see in your program, just 8 years into her legal career, Missy already is setting a great example for all of us in the legal community with her commitment to pro bono, our profession, and our community. Already a principal at Schuach and Texan, where she maintains a busy fiduciary probate litigation and administration practice, Missy somehow always finds time to take on pro bono guardianship cases through CVLS for minors and adults with disabilities, and to share her wisdom and experience with other lawyers, both in the firm and in the larger bar. As one of her nominators aptly put it, quote, "Missy is not only an exceptional attorney, she is a leader, mentor, and advocate who embodies the mission and values of the Chicago Bar Foundation. She continually uplifts the profession through her service, leadership, and unwavering belief that legal practice can and must be a force for dignity and justice," end quote. Missy indeed exemplifies the dedicated and inspiring young lawyer whom we seek to honor with this award, and I'm proud to present her with this year's Weigel Award.
I'd like to start off by thanking the Chicago Bar Association and the Chicago Bar Foundation for organizing this incredibly inspiring event, and to the Weigel family for their commitment and recognition of pro bono work in the Chicago legal community. I'd also like to thank my husband, my family, my in-laws, my father, and my friends and my colleagues who are here to celebrate with me today. I'd also like to acknowledge the 6 other incredible honorees that we've heard from today. Pro bono work for all of us standing up here is a calling. It feels like a duty, not an option, and it's a collective community process. So I really am just so humbled to stand among so many dedicated advocates. Being a lawyer is a unique profession. We go into the profession knowing that it will be hard. Law school is hard, the bar is hard, and after all of that, the work that we do day in and day out is hard. But it's meaningful and it's important work because it's hard. And because it's hard, we love it. We like identifying problems and issue spotting and resolving highly complex matters. Some of us even add working with emotionally heavy issues into the mix. And then there's the work that oftentimes isn't newsworthy or glamorous at all, the work that doesn't make its way into dinner time conversation. And those are the types of cases that I handle with Chicago Volunteer Legal Services, where the relief isn't monetary and the win isn't always tangible. The moments of protecting a child and knowing that child feels safe. The ability to be one reliable adult for a child whose life is full of chaos. The moment a parent accepts that they may need to spend time away from their child to heal and study their life. And I run towards that type of work. I stay on my minor guardianship cases for years. Longest running is 6. And I want everyone to run towards their version of that type of work. Because while pro bono work can be hard, we owe it to everyone we coexist on earth with to make an impact that's positive. And if we each offered one moment of assistance to someone else who offered it from there, and so on, every human in that chain would have a singular moment of relief, or at the very least, a moment of feeling understood. So we have to keep running towards the work that feels hard. And as my husband said recently, the darker the room, the more impact a little light can have. And being a human version of a little light might help someone see the door and a path that otherwise wouldn't have seemed possible. So thank you again so much for such an important recognition, and to everyone else for the work that they do.
Just have a quick PSA, guys. I have this small role here and I screwed it up. So John Lewis, please come up. I got the order wrong, all right? And then we'll hear from Chantal next. But apologies to everybody, but we're back on track. Thank you.
You could easily miss me, but not the honoree. He's important. I'm John Lewis. I'm Edward J. Lewis's brother, and on behalf of the family, I want to thank the CBF and all the supporters of this award for having it, for continuing it, for recognizing Edward's legacy, and really recognizing like-minded heroes out in the world, which we'll meet one today. Edward and the honorees share a lot in common. They're somewhat superhuman. They build careers, they build personal lives, and yet we're here to celebrate them for all they do in public service and pro bono. They find the time, the energy, and the accomplishments to make such a difference. Our honoree today is not just an example, he's a special and unique example. Rich Clowder. Rich was on this path very early, coming out of Stanford Law School and joining Chicago Legal Aid. So he was making a difference at a very young age. He wound up going into private practice, wound up accomplishing an awful lot, being the co-head of DLA Piper's real estate group, helping many clients launch big investments, big infrastructure in Chicago, outside Chicago. That would have been enough for many, many people in their career. But again, we're here to recognize his public service record and his pro bono record. which is long and illustrious. He was the two-time chair of the Chicago Legal Aid Organization, a longtime board member of the National Immigrant Justice Organization. He ran pro bono for DLA Piper in North America. But my guess is it's the work that matters, not the roles. And those include, they're long, but they include opening and expanding free legal services in Woodlawn here in Chicago, or using Rich's proficiency in Spanish and spending an enormous amount of time down on the U.S.-Mexico border, involved in immigrant issues. I think there were many eras of that help, including recently in the last few years as many immigrants were moving up to Chicago with those issues. And those issues were not limited to Latin America. It included Afghan and other people seeking asylum or seeking immigration status. Rich also used his real estate skills to take on the issue of homelessness and led a very innovative effort at DLA Piper and beyond, not just in Chicago, but in other cities, to tackle homelessness. When I look at all the information from his nominating committee, one statement stood out. Rich never stops. He is a person with incredible energy and enthusiasm and makes everybody around him better. The other common theme that I learned about Rich was the humility, the modesty. He's in this to serve, he's in this to help. And for all of those reasons, I'm very honored to present the Edward J. Lewis Pro Bono Award to Rich Clowder.
Well, I wish I resembled those remarks, John. Appreciate the warm introduction, I really do. And it really is an honor to be recognized with an award named for your brother, whom I never had the pleasure to meet, but whose impact lives on well beyond his all too short life. I too want to congratulate Spencer, Michelle, Judge O'Malley, Missy, Kathy, and Cynthia for their recognitions today as well. It's humbling to be recognized with this group of talented and compassionate people, and with an award that bears the names of Edward J. Lewis II and Jennerin Block, a firm I have long admired but never more than at present. Their defense of the rule of law on behalf Their defense of the rule of law on behalf of the broader legal community is extraordinary and courageous, and is something I hope and trust their peer firms will mimic and their clients will reward. I owe my own firm, DLA Piper, a profound debt of gratitude. My partners and firm leadership have been unwavering and relentless in their support for pro bono. Thank you in particular to the members of our preeminent national real estate group, to my colleagues in the Chicago office, and especially to our first-class pro bono leadership team, including Annie Garrity-Helms, who is here today. I also want to recognize my amazing wife, Amy Daniels, for her unwavering support, encouragement, and love. And if Annie's getting applause, so too should Amy. I've spent most of my legal career at DLA Piper. As John mentioned, following graduation from law school, I had the privilege to spend the first 4 years of my professional career as a staff attorney at Legal Aid Chicago. Their current leader, Kate Shank, is here. And we greatly appreciate DLA and Legal Aid Chicago's partnership, which for many years we've enjoyed, and our support for Legal Aid Chicago and its clients is more than reciprocated by the rewarding opportunities and enriching experiences that organization offers our lawyers. A special shout out as well to their sister organization, Legal Action, and also the National Immigrant Justice Center, both of whose boards I sit on and whose work I deeply admire. That the Chicago Bar Foundation supports Legal Aid Chicago, Legal Action, and NIJC, and so many other worthy organizations that deliver legal services to communities in need makes it a particular honor for me to be recognized here today. These are unprecedented times, In the face of what seemed to be unrelenting assaults on the rule of law and on our very humanity, I'm reminded of what another John Lewis, a different John Lewis, this one the civil rights icon and Georgia congressman, wrote shortly before his death 5 years ago. He said, "Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Do not become bitter or hostile. Be hopeful, be optimistic. Never, ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble. We will find a way to make a way out of no way." CBF and the organizations it supports practice this philosophy every single day. That's why I am so grateful to be recognized here today and to have the opportunity to be inspired by the other awardees and by the many organizations CBF supports. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chantal Kazai Rivera, and I'm honored to serve as one of this year's co-chair, along with Marlon, for this year's event. Thank you guys all for making it here today, making it possible, and for being here to celebrate all of these incredible group of lawyers that have been honored today. As a past recipient myself of the Exelon Outstanding Corporate Counsel Award, and as someone who spent most of her legal career in the corporate sector, I have seen how powerful pro bono work can be when embraced by in-house legal teams. Pro bono work strengthens our teams, deepens our empathy, and reminds us why we became lawyers in the first place. It's about using our platform to lift people up and lead by example. The role corporate counsel plays in pro bono is important, both in the work we perform for the people that we are helping, but also through the partnerships and positive influence that we have with our outside law firms and partners. At McDonald's, giving back isn't just a McValue, it's a responsibility. Pro bono work is encouraged and it's embedded in our culture. It allows us to step outside of our day-to-day roles, and it makes a direct impact. Whether that's helping a nonprofit navigate a lease, whether it's supporting immigrants seeking asylum and safety, or advocating for systemic change, we believe access to justice is a right, it's not just a privilege. As corporate counsel, we have both the opportunity and the responsibility to help close that gap. Which brings me to this year's honoree. Named in recognition of Exelon's leadership in pro bono, this next award celebrates outstanding corporate attorneys whose impactful pro bono contributions often take place outside of the spotlight. This year's honoree, Kathy Malamis from Zurich, is the embodiment of what it means to lead with purpose. Kathy has not only championed pro bono internally, but she's also built a culture around it. As your program notes in detail, under Kathy's leadership, since taking over the pro bono program several years ago at Zurich, Zurich's legal department has expanded its pro bono footprint, forged meaningful partnerships with corporate and law firm partners, and delivered critical legal services to those who need it most. Kathy's commitment is unwavering, and her impact is undeniable. She creates a model program for all corporate departments. She volunteers for a variety of pro bono clinics and cases while also encouraging and supporting her colleagues as they join her in these efforts. Kathy leads with grace and humility that others naturally are inspired to follow her example and become more involved in pro bono. In the words of one of her nominators, quote, "Kathy is a joy to work with. She approaches everything with an open heart and a smile. I use the word infectious because being in Kathy's orbit means that you want to do good with and alongside her. We are proud to shine a spotlight on Kathy's dedication and her amazing work by presenting her with this year's Outstanding Corporate Counsel Award.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction, Chantal. I would like to begin by thanking the Chicago Bar Foundation and the Selection Committee for this incredible honor. To be named a recipient of the Exelon Outstanding Corporate Counsel Award means so very much to me. I am proud, truly proud, to have my name added to the list of remarkable individuals who have previously received this award. To my fellow honorees, congratulations. You humble and inspire me. The work you do every day in our communities not only changes lives, it helps build a better, fairer future. It is through our collective efforts that we bring access to justice to those who need it most. I want to thank my colleagues in the Zurich Law Department, many of whom are here with me today, and our inspirational leader, Laura Lazarchik, who have always answered the call to serve. Week after week, year after year, you've shown up with compassion and commitment to do the real, often behind-the-scenes work that changes lives. You've staffed the Equip for Equality Special Education Help Desk every Monday for almost 15 years. You've helped individuals overcome barriers to gainful employment through numerous expungement clinics. You've taken on full representation asylum cases. You've assisted with DACA renewals. You've protected survivors of domestic violence, and you've defended the rights of children, and so much more. This is what it means to be called to serve, and you have done it with heart and with excellence. To the many law firms who've partnered with me along the way, thank you. Your collaboration has been essential to expanding our reach and our impact. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge someone who has been an extraordinary partner and friend on this journey, Annie Garrity-Helms at DLA Piper. When I first made the move from private practice to a corporate law department more than 10 years ago, Annie was instrumental in helping me build a pro bono program from the ground up. I'm grateful that Annie has continued to partner with me throughout the years on so many impactful projects. Annie, thank you for your leadership, for your friendship, and for always believing in what we could accomplish together. And to the entire Chicago pro bono community, you are second to none. The passion, creativity, and tireless dedication that lives in this city is unmatched, and I am proud to be a part of it. Pro bono legal work is not measured in hours. It's measured by impact, because we stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. Those dedicated to pro bono service ensure that justice isn't reserved for the few, but rather that it is accessible to all. That's our responsibility and also our privilege as lawyers. Before I finish, I want to thank my family and my friends who are here today. To my husband, George, your support and encouragement make it possible for me to do this work, and I am so grateful to have you by my side. And to my amazing kids, Eleftheria and Andrea, don't worry, I promise I won't turn this into a lecture later. But for today at least, I think we can all agree I am officially the cool parent. Thank you again for this honor.
I have the privilege of presenting our last award today, which is the Morsch Award. Tom Morsch is truly one of the titans of our legal community and justifiably recognized throughout his career as a great lawyer and a great leader. But Tom always felt that lawyers in private practice received a disproportionate amount of the recognition for pro bono contributions in comparison to those lawyers who have spent their career in pro bono, often at great sacrifice to their families and to their finances, candidly. For this reason, Tom and his family created this award to honor public service attorneys who have dedicated their careers to serving the poor and the disadvantaged and demonstrated lifelong excellence in the quality of their work. They have endowed this award so that it also includes a generous honorarium to the recipient. We are pleased that Tom and his son Jim are here today. Could you please stand or wave? Okay. Thank you again for your generosity. I'm pleased to announce that this year's recipient for the award is Cynthia Cornelius at Cabrini Green Legal Aid. As noted in your program, this is a second career for Cynthia, a path that she chose to pursue at the age of 54 to work in legal aid and to help others. And that's exactly what she has done since becoming a lawyer, serving many different roles at Cabrini Green Legal Aid and helping some of the most vulnerable people in our community at a time when they need it the most. Everyone who has had a chance to work with Cynthia knows that she's an outstanding lawyer, and she's also an excellent advocate. But where they are more effusive in their praise too is talking about her dedication in mentoring younger lawyers and helping her colleagues at Cabrini Green Legal Aid. One of her nominators said it well. Changing the world is mostly not physical courage or violent clashes or Aaron Sorkin-type banter in a courtroom, but the ability to coordinate and inspire and connect with lots of other people and create stories of what they could be and how we got there. That's where Cynthia shines. Cynthia has been a humble and modest lawyer and a humble and modest mentor, but her impact is great on all of those that she has touched. That's what makes us especially proud to give Cynthia this very well-deserved recognition and to award her the Morse Award.
Good afternoon. You know, I began law school at 54, and I never expected to receive such an honor. So to the Chicago Bar Foundation, the Chicago Bar Association, and the Thomas H. Morse family, I am deeply, deeply grateful. Today, I stand on the shoulders of my ancestors and many others who fought and died to remove barriers from the path that led me here today. I especially wish to honor my grandmother, Lonnie Maud Williams Greer. Born in 1918, just 53 years after the end of the Civil War. That's only 2 generations removed. She was the wisest person I've ever known, and despite her only having completed the 8th grade. She was the inspiration for my personal statement that I submitted with my law school application. And so today, I think it's fitting that I share her wisdom with you. My grandmother raised my sister and me with love and patience and puzzles. Not those easy kind that's made for kids. No, she would pour the 1,000-piece puzzle onto the kitchen table even when I was 5 years old. She taught us to start by sorting the pieces. Then she would say, assemble the edge so you have a border, something to anchor on. She would say, never force a piece to fit. Set that piece aside, she would say. Be patient. Trust the process. Just keep working, and you'll soon see where that piece fits in. Now, at the time, I didn't realize we were learning more than puzzles. We were learning how to live. And I can say today that every hardship I have endured, every success I have achieved, and every role I have fulfilled, from being a computer programmer back in the 1970s to the designer of the software application called Monarch that helps with expungement and sealing petitions. Today, every role has seamlessly fit into the intricate puzzle of my life. And as I have assembled those pieces, I believe I have helped my clients find a critical piece of their lives that often has eluded them for many, many years sometimes. It is so fulfilling to experience that joy when they can place that elusive piece in their puzzle of life and realize that they have finally reached a point where they can leave their past behind. My grandmother's lessons still guide me, and I believe they can guide us all, because today we face complex challenges. Our constitutional rights that we once thought were guaranteed are now under debate. The diversity that makes our country strong is being questioned. Funding for legal aid organizations is really uncertain. But I think if we apply my grandmother's puzzle method, we can persevere. So first we must observe. What's the landscape? How has it changed? Where are the resources? Then we can define our boundaries, remembering that, though we may want to, we cannot do everything all at once. But we can try new approaches, but we have to be willing to regroup and set aside an idea if it doesn't fit right away. Be patient. Keep working, because the pieces will all fit together in time. My grandmother didn't see herself as a leader, but she showed me that leadership is quiet strength, steady guidance, and the ability to see a bigger picture, one piece at a time. So to my family and my friends and my colleagues and my clients, you are the pieces of my life, and you fit together perfectly. You bless me, and I am grateful. Thank you for this honor.
That was a very nice way to finish. Very inspiring, Cynthia. And all of you guys, I apologize for injecting extra drama into the order of how you heard from them. But those are 7 pretty amazing people that we heard from today. If we could give them one more. If anyone ever questions whether one person can make a difference, we all now have 7 really great retorts to set them straight. I do want to say a few thanks before closing down here. First, it is quite a team effort to make this event possible every year, and that's led by Emmy Veenbos there in the back, who's our ringmaster. And Sarah Blair, Sang Lee, and our summer intern, Courtney Solomon, have all played a huge role leading into this, and our whole staff is helping out today, so thank you guys. Our co-chairs, Chantal and Marlon, our other presenters today, our CBA and CBF leadership, everyone who served on one of the award selection committees, and all the firms, companies, and organizations that make the CBF possible, but make today possible too. And to all of you for coming out today to honor these unsung heroes on a Friday. The last Friday in July is not exactly the most coveted event slot, and to see this room is packed is inspiring in its own way for everybody here that you did that, so thank you. We are really committed to continuing to hold the event at the Hilton here as long as we can because it's been a great partnership over the years, but it's such a part of Chicago history, we think it really just dovetails with this event so nicely. But it's a popular place to have events, so we got to take what we can get. So, and that turned out to be the last Friday of July this year, so thank you for that. But we got a better one for next year, stay tuned. But on that note, the one final thanks I want to give is to everybody here at the Hilton who's been serving us today and who've made this possible. They are great to work with, and we literally couldn't do it without you. So the song we used this year, I don't know how many of you got to see it when we were starting. We're going to play it again at the end. But as many have alluded to along the way, as you've heard in the remarks, 2025, I think most of us would agree, has been one of the wildest years of our legal lifetimes so far, and we're only a little over halfway through. So any of the songs we've featured here at this event over the years would have fit pretty well, but Heroes from David Bowie, we thought was, in this particular version of it, was particularly fitting right now for 2 reasons. First and foremost, because we're honoring these unsung heroes today for the work that they do outside of the headlines to make our profession, our justice system, and our community better. They're showing us that wherever we are in the legal community, all of us who are lawyers, judges, and other legal professionals have a unique capacity to be heroes, like our honorees are, and not just for one day, but every day. So thank you, guys. The other reason is that this seemed timely was the setting for the video, which was the epic Live Aid concerts from 40 years ago in 1985. So those of us who were old enough to be around then as adults, one of the things you see when you look at that video is a lot of unfortunate fashion choices that I think a lot of us unfortunately participated in. But it was a really stirring example of the power of community when you got the most famous rock bands and musicians of the era get together to raise awareness, and in today's dollars, more than $1 billion for hunger relief in Africa, which was in the midst of a famine then. It was really, the power of a community exemplified. And while we may lack the stardom and the reach of these celebrities and concerts, when it comes to law and justice, as was mentioned along the way, our legal community is second to none, and our power to do great things when we come together. So when you see building a fairer and better, well, there's a nice, that's Emmy's David Bowie there, making my fashion point for me, but our building a fairer and better justice system together is not just our tagline, it's what you all are doing through the CBF every day by coming together as a legal community around our common cause, and you're making a tremendous impact. And while we've all got a lot more work to do yet, individually and collectively, we've got a lot of inspiration from our honorees today that we can make a real difference wherever we are in the legal community. Congrats again to all of you who we honored today, and make us so proud to be part of this legal community. Thank you all for coming out today, and hope you have a great day.